Alrighty, welcome everyone. My guest today might just be the best connected man in Australian startups. He was born in Vienna to Polish parents and somehow ended up running Startmate, Australia's most active startup accelerator, for around 8 years. He raised $50 million and backed 230 startups, now worth $3.5 billion. Heaps Normal, Lyrebird, Amber, and other names you probably have heard of. He's a 2 times founder, both successfully exited. One of them was his Saturday morning run club, which he sold with a single LinkedIn post, which is crazy. And last December, he walked away from Startmate, looking for something exciting, something worth his next 10 years. So he co-founded Hourglass AI to rebuild everyday Australian businesses around AI. And his bet is simple. Every company will be rebuilt around AI, either by design or by default. So today, I want to find out how we can rebuild your business by design so we don't get left behind. The steps, what it costs, what breaks, and the mistakes we can skip because he's already made them. If you run a business, the next hour could save you a year. Michael Batko, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Let's get into it. So, why Hourglass? I'm really interested in that because you had such an amazing career. Startmate, it's hard to top that. And then you decided on Hourglass AI. What was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, totally. The first one is probably the one of life's a bit too short, and I really just like to push myself and go outside of my comfort zone. So after 8 years of Startmate, I did a lot at Startmate. It was super fun. We, as you mentioned, invested in over 230 companies. They've gone on to great successes. But after such a long time, you just kind of keep doing the same thing over and over again. So for us, it was fundraising every 6 months, investing in the companies every 6 months. So I really just wanted to push myself again for the next 10 years of my life. The second part of it is probably one of the side hustles that you just said there, and me having exited that as well, which was a productivity course I used to run. And this is actually one of the things that most people know me for, which is sometimes they actually refer to me as the productivity guy. And when the whole AI opportunity came along, and it's really just since like December, January this year, that AI is so much more powerful. If you think about the AI, it's really just the ultimate extension of productivity. Suddenly you can just do so much more, so much faster, at such a much higher quality as previously. And so it was like the perfect mix for me to take productivity to the next level, which is with AI actually improving an entire business and making it hyper efficient. So yeah, that's the bet I'm taking over the next 10 years.
Love it. And I'm really curious, how was the company born? What actually happened? You, Finlay, the first few weeks, what happened?
Yeah. It was actually pretty simple. And I think so many co-founder stories, people ask me, like, how do I find a co-founder? Which network can I go to? What events can I go to? And people just overcomplicate that way too much. For us, it was really just two things. Like, number one is I started dabbling in that space myself with AI. And I just kept having founders and companies come to me wanting to implement AI. So then I was like, all right, cool. Well, I've just started doing this myself. I can't actually build this. And I started hitting up people who can actually build it. And Finlay was one of those people who I hit up, and we started our first conversation for like 30 minutes, just even exploring it together, which is like the first part. It's like, rather than overcomplicating co-founder relationships, actually just going out there into your network and seeing who you trust. The other part is maybe the one of something that I preach all the time, which is increasing your surface area for luck to strike. Think way too few of us actually post on social media all the things that go well and not so well. And we're all just too scared to like share an opinion or just be wrong online as well. Whereas my whole philosophy is actually sharing the good, bad, and ugly, which I do every single month about company updates and about my personal life as well, and just seeing who comes your way. So the way, back to your question of like, how do we actually get started, is I just started sharing my journey. And along the way, I, like a magnet, attracted the right people to me, Finlay being one of them. And then before we knew it, I started referring lots of clients his way. Before we knew it, he essentially was like, well, I can't do this as a sole trader anymore. I need to do this as a company. And before we knew it, we're just like, well, why don't we just do this properly as a business? So the whole journey actually took way less time than I would have thought. Because again, like people think about co-founder relationships as like this massive, massive thing that you need to like do over like years and years. For us, it was really just a matter of maybe 6 weeks until we actually had a company co-founder agreement signed and just like ready to roll. But yeah, to be fair, it was a very good natural fit for us culturally as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And it sounds like you both bring some really unique, beautiful things to the equation.
Yes, totally. I mean, that's the other part of like co-founder matching as well, right? As like you need complementary skill sets whilst being culturally aligned. Culturally aligned, that was actually the interesting one of like when we talk about the future, when we talk about the past, when we talk about our values, it was actually amazing. Like there's this whole exercise called like values cards. Like you get a whole set of 100 values and you pick out for yourself, like what are your top 5 values and you throw away all the other ones. And we did it separately and came together and pretty much the 5 cards that we all both chose were pretty similar, if not even the same. So culture was such a natural fit. And then, I mean, actually, the other part of it, this is like a 10, 15-year age gap between the two of us as well. So even that is actually quite rare to have such like similar souls, I'd say, and very different kind of experiences and bodies. And the other one is also, of course, the kind of like skill set where for me, it's a lot of the network and the trust that I've built over the last 10, 15 years in startups, in business building, in companies, versus Finn, who's coming from a software engineering AI background and is an incredible builder. So, so the two kind of together just merged so well.
And what was the point at which you realized, okay, Finley's definitely the guy? Like, was it a project that he built, or was it something that he said, or like?
Hmm. Yeah, I love that question. Honestly, it was mostly just once we had the half an hour call, like it was literally like the first exploration call, just to understand each other and just we weren't even thinking about co-founding. It was literally just like I really wanted to ask him lots of questions about AI, and he just wanted to hear about all my Startmate experience. And the key difference then, or like between him and any other person who I talked to, was that we then kept chatting every single day on WhatsApp, just sending each other cool articles, comparing thoughts, like what have you seen, like what are we learning? And it was exactly that kind of interaction which you just want with a co-founder. To be honest, you just want with anybody who you have around you in your life, right? Somebody who pushes you, sends you interesting stuff, you just vibe with.
Do you think it was also because he was so passionate, or he is so passionate about the AI and the tech side?
100%. Yeah, I mean, passion comes definitely into it. It's kind of like the shared interest that we have, right? Because we went both so deep into it. It's like you can send people surface level information and surface level articles, which is like, oh, this company got acquired. Cool. Thumbs up. And that's it. Versus actually just like sending somebody a deep dive, but then also explaining what you find interesting and then actually starting an interesting conversation. And like you said, that passion comes through from both of us and actually being able to dive really deep, really quickly. It's just something like, just in terms of working relationship, something really unique.
Love it. And so you're kind of bringing the network, your brand, and helping, I guess, win a lot of the deals. Finley's bringing the technical expertise, and you got some new people, it seems, as well on board. But what makes Hourglass different from all the other, there's thousands of AI consultancies out there?
Mm. 100%. Honestly, we ask ourselves this question literally every single month because we have a strategy meeting between the two of us. And we literally ask ourselves the question of like, what makes us 10 times better than anybody else? And I got to say that answer is actually really hard. And we just had this conversation today again because it's the beginning of the month. And our answer actually is trust, which is a weird answer to be like, what are you 10 times better than anybody else? But it actually is the truth where like you said, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of agencies spinning up, implementation firms. People are going out solo, just building because they're like, well, it's so easy to build with AI. Totally true. Anybody can do it. But the thing that actually people don't realize is really hard is go to market marketing, but also like the underlying thing under there is trust. People trusting you with all of the system, also all the information, actually doing a good job. And that's actually something that we're really good at. Why? Number one, because Finn and I actually have a great network and people trust us because of just like 10, 20 years of just like doing things consistently really well. But the other one is also just because we've actually had a lot of clients now, which is the other thing of just like the moat almost builds itself by having more clients, more people also trust you. So now we've actually worked with some big companies. We've implemented awesome systems. They've got great ROI. And the beauty is all of those clients actually keep referring us to other clients. So yeah, the answer is so simple, which is trust, but it's actually so hard to replicate that. And of course, like the whole track record of it all is even harder to replicate. It's also a bit of a cold start problem there of like, if you don't have it in the first place, you can't really hack it.
Yeah, and it's almost like trust is then like this flywheel on delivering great value, and then that's almost a flywheel on trust.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're like in our first week, we also set ourselves a North Star. Like, what's the one metric that if we get it right, it actually propels and fuels the entire business like a flywheel? And the answer for us is essentially monthly retainers or monthly paying clients essentially is our North Star. Why? Because if clients pay us every single month, that means something that we've built for them is still has so much value and delivers so much value to them that they're willing to pay us every single month. So by having essentially a shortcut for happy customers, that means that they are going to be referring more customers down the line as well. So it's like there's our number one metric is literally like happy customers, because it just fuels the entire future of Hourglass.
I have been closely following online. I've actually been following you for a long time, but I've been like kind of in the shadows. And I absolutely loved I don't know if your website's still like this, but one of the kind of early iterations of your marketing, how you're going to deploy basically these agent employees into the business. And then I think you were using, I don't remember if you mentioned it was maybe OpenClaw or Claude or something as the harness. And I thought, honestly, out of all the other AI consultancies I've seen, that marketing really resonated and it just seemed to hit the spot in the market. How did you come up with that?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, we're learning every single week, which is also kind of interesting from a marketing perspective. What we do well is, well, number one is we rely on past clients and customers. So it's almost like that's the best thing. It's just like get them to tell the story, get any new leads to essentially talk to your past customers and so on, and it kind of like sells itself. The second part, which you just mentioned there, of like how do we almost like use AI in our workflow. Maybe like I'll take this one level up, which is one of the questions that we ask ourselves all the time in the business is actually, why do we keep doing things the same way as we've always done them? It's like, that's the one. Like there's a really traditional way of doing marketing and sales, which is, for example, on your website itself, you can be like, book in a call and you ask 10 different fields and everybody hates the form, and every single marketing team always asks themselves, do we ask 2 questions and get no information? Do we ask 20 questions, get the full qualification right, and so on? Whereas we ask ourselves, I'm like, all right, cool. What's the AI native way to do that? Like, what can we do now that we've never been able to do before? And for example, just on that point, one of the things that AI is incredible at is hyper customization, which you previously have never been able to do. Previously, it for every single client spinning out them up a website, or every single lead even spinning out up a website was impossible. Whereas now with AI, the way if you jump on the website, the hourglass.ai, the way I've actually done it is you fill out 2 fields, which is just your name and your company URL, and literally just based on 2 points of information. And to be fair, it's really just a company URL. It creates a personalized AI roadmap for your business because it just AI scans your entire business, maps it to what we've done previously, and literally suggests those are all the different things we can do with AI. Why is the AI native and beautiful? Because number one, it's hyper personalized. It spins up thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of direct reports for businesses. But 2 is actually, and this is even more fun, we asked ourselves like, all right, what else can we do? And how can we actually gamify this, make this interesting? And because it's so hyper dynamic that I said, all right, cool. If you just give me those 2 data points, you're going to get like 2 suggestions. But if you actually answer the other 10 questions I've got for you, we gamified it, it's going to give you like 10 new agent ideas. And the crazy thing about this one is every single lead which comes to the website, fills out every single question on the thing, because it's such a no-brainer. And they literally tell me like how much budget they have, who's signing off on it, the kind of data points and information we should never be able to get from anyone else because people are lazy to fill out the information. But now people give me that information, get way more value out of that report itself, and I get a lot more information. So all the way back to your first question there, of just like, how do we use AI essentially in that process? It's like actually rethinking every single process of like, what can we do with AI now that we previously haven't been able to? Let's rethink kind of like the standard ways of doing things.
So smart. Do you find that your clients are mostly through the referrals or through like the inbound leads on that website?
Yeah, good question. Honestly, like 95% of referrals. It's literally all word of mouth. It's every single time. We do great work with a client. Without fail, they introduce us to 3 to 5 other people. They just like, because once you do such a deep AI integration with a business, like you literally change the way this company works. And once you change the way the company works, of course, what do they talk about to all their friends and family? It's just like, oh my God, I can do this. This is so fun. Like I'm using AI and X and Y and Z. And before you know it, they essentially talk about the work that you've done, and that just inspires lots of other people around them. So it's like 95% referrals and word of mouth. The AI roadmap itself is kind of interesting on the website because it captures lots and lots of leads. People always try it out. To be fair, I think people often just want to check out our pricing, which is totally fair. We're super transparent about it too. And I follow up on every single lead. But then that being said, yeah, usually it's kind of like the smaller companies which actually use it, and the larger companies, they actually don't even care about the roadmap. They just want to jump on this call straight away. So it's also like it's kind of, people sort themselves into those two buckets, I'd say.
Mm. And I guess, yeah, they just want to jump on the call because of your moat, which is trust. They don't care about the website.
Totally don't care about the website. Sometimes they don't even read it. They literally just want to jump on, have a 30-minute conversation, explore it. Because it's such a deep engagement that we have with companies, which lots of people don't appreciate. Like you literally are changing the way people work every single day for hours and hours. If you do it well, like they're literally going to be touching something that you've built for them pretty much every hour.
I wanted to get into, I guess, a more practical example, if possible. Do you have a current or a recent client project that you're really proud of that I guess kind of epitomizes like what you do with AI?
I'll give you actually, I'll give you 3. I'll go all the way. I'll give you 3 examples. The way we actually, let me first take a step back. The way we usually approach it with the company is something that we call foundation, then infrastructure, and then agents. So it's like 3 layers. And the problem is most companies start at agents and they build themselves a bunch of agents. They all break. They get a bunch of products. They kind of lose track of them, and because the foundation and the infrastructure isn't in place. What do I mean by foundation infrastructure? It's actually really simple. Number one is the infrastructure. Number one is the foundation, which is what we call a company AI brain. It's essentially all of your company information from Google Drive, Slack, all of your emails, all of your PDFs, whatever it is, all of your CRM system information, all in one place. That is literally the foundation, because then as soon as you plug that into your Claude or ChatGPT, every single query you're going to put in there is going to be hyper personalized based on your company, on your clients, and your information. Every single time you're going to do a company presentation, it's going to be on company colors. It's going to adopt your company language. Super, super powerful. Which brings me back actually to your question of just like examples. So the company AI brand is literally like the foundation that we do for all of our clients. Clients love it because you can literally side by side show them, hey, this is Claude. You asking about one of your clients, gives you almost a generic kind of web scrape, versus like company AI brand plugged into your Claude, and it gives you literally like the specifics of like last engagements, emails, PDFs, client engagement, and whatever else you want. So that's already massive. The second layer is this infrastructure layer. On this infrastructure layer, I'll give you 2 examples here that clients are loving right now. The first one is a really simple one, which is an email drafter. Simplest possible use case for AI. You get hundreds of emails every single day, in particular executive assistants for one of our clients. And the emails are so often the same, a client asking the same question. And now you get an email, and that email gets scanned by AI. It looks through the company AI brain itself. It essentially drafts the perfect reply to the client based on the information, and it never gets sent, but it always has a human in the loop who's essentially saying, edit it, delete it, or send it straight away. And those three actions actually, they actually make another agent learn, is this email drafter good or not? And if not, then actually let's keep updating this email drafter. So there's another loop in there to make that incredible. Back to your question of just like, why do clients love it, or do clients even love it? We literally had a client love it so much that they've got the whole team on board on that now. In particular, the executive assistants in that team love it so much that one of them went on holidays for 2 weeks and just literally kept it on and actually had all its email being sent automatically without her actually approving it, which is like the trust you need to have in a system like that to actually have it on by default is actually huge. The third kind of example I can give you is something that every single company faces, which is as soon as you get into AI, it's this fun phase where like you've got 40 employees, every single employee goes out there and builds themselves workflows, agents, skills, whatever it is. And everybody's like super excited and everybody's trying to like explain to each other like how it all works and you should do it too and so on. Number one is they always keep breaking because like you build yourself 50 agents and like if you don't actually care for them, then you just are going to end up with like a couple of them working well and the other ones essentially all die, which is totally fine. But the other thing that people don't realize is actually really hard is once you have an awesome agent, sharing it across the whole company is actually really hard. You can totally download it and share it with somebody else, but before you know it, those two agents are going to actually keep shooting off into different directions because once you've got it adopted to your personal context, that's going to fork and actually build something completely different. And maintaining skills and workflows across the company is really hard. So, for example, one thing that we do for clients is essentially what we call a skill sharing infrastructure. Where as a company, anyone can upload skills into a company interface, and every single day, or actually not even every single day, but live, and those skills get uploaded into every single person's stack. So whenever you, for example, want to trigger anything, it goes and finds the latest skill that anyone on the team has created, applies your personal context to it, and you just you can edit it as a whole team, but also use it as a whole team. So yeah, there's 3 really specific use cases here, but this is kind of like the foundation and the infrastructure. Once you've got that, then building any agents or workflows on top of that is actually so like fun, powerful, doesn't break, it's got full context. But yeah, this is the part which most people miss. It's like putting that foundation in place.
Kind of like a unified data layer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is maybe the other problem that every single company has, which is like so many different systems, so much data, which is messy, and then actually bringing it together. Whereas AI is perfectly placed for that because it actually creates all of the context and version control, etc.
Yeah, that's incredible. You guys are adding so much value. And so your process is to not move the existing data, it's to kind of pool it into this one place that's kind of live and updating, so you don't have to mess with anything else.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we actually do stay away from any data transformation projects. Like we're not the people to clean up your database. We're not the people to implement the CRM for you. We're not the people to essentially like do any kind of like data transformation or cleaning. What we essentially do is take everything you have and put a thin AI data layer on top of it, which just sucks in all of the information, makes sense of it, and then you can plug anything else on top of it. So it also understands what data is correct, what isn't correct. Plus also it just allows you to find that data really quickly in the system as well. Yeah, it almost sounds a little bit of like a shortcut rather than cleaning up all of the data, which to be fair, I do recommend actually doing. But it's a bit of a shortcut of actually just like, even if it is a bit messy, putting something on top to actually make sense to be able to keep building AI agents on it.
Yeah. I was actually just speaking to someone a couple of days ago who was doing stuff because yeah, she was working with a pretty big enterprise client and she did exactly the same thing, which is interesting because before, like if you go back a couple of years ago, people would have probably said, okay, first step, Like, let's take a year and do the data transformation.
Mm, totally. Yeah. And honestly, it would actually take you to be fair, with AI, you could totally do the data transformation much, much faster. And there would be companies to do it. Personally, we actually do stay away from it. Um, Number one, because you technically don't need it. Number two is because that is actually like something that we don't really want to go into, because like there's a lot of data mapping required. There's a lot of internal kind of like information required as well. And often you kind of need somebody internal to actually do it well.
Yeah. And I don't know if you're open to sharing, but could we talk about kind of tech stack, like where you guys are at in terms of, yeah, how you're actually building these things? Or is that something you want to?
I don't know, I'm more than happy to share. Like we're an open book across pretty much everything. um to be honest, there's actually not much to share though. There's probably two parts here, which is like what AI are we using and what AI are we telling clients to use. Um what AI are we using, or like what is our tech stack? Honestly, we keep it super simple. For us, it literally is just purely Claude. Like we love building on Claude. All of us are on Max subscriptions. We've got a Codex subscription as well to do like a counter review. So every single thing that we build, Codex essentially tells us like a it's like a red team kind of like review essentially again, but like how could this be better? And then we push it live. But that's about it. And then in terms of the actual builds that we then deploy to clients, it is 100% based on what the clients use. So this is actually like another thing that we do really well, which is it is literally custom built for the client based on their kind of infrastructure and whatever they use. We want to make it super, super simple. The other kind of part of the question of like what tech stack does the client then use, which is kind of an interesting one. Because this is not a product, because this is actually custom built for our clients, it always sits on the client infrastructure. Why is that important? For two reasons. Number one is because the most common question I get is cybersecurity. Like, how do you get comfortable with it being highly secure? And because it literally sits on the client servers, on the client infrastructure, they don't actually need anything on top of what they already have, because it literally sits already in what they already have. And that's the first one. The second one is because we custom build it for the company, because it sits on their infrastructure, the beauty is the client even can throw any AI at the solution that we've built them. It doesn't matter whether they throw Claude, OpenAI, or any of the other models against it. So they're never actually locked into a model, and they can use anything they want on it. So yeah, this answer is a lot less technical than you probably expected, but it is very simple.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think one of the biggest concerns people have is cybersecurity, but also just like what's happening with the data, right? Like when you put that brain and it's sucking in all this data, they're probably thinking, okay, so there's some IP in there, some things I don't want people to know. How do you go about making sure that's like, how do you give clients comfort, I guess, that it's going
Yeah.
to be okay?
Oh, honestly, great question. That's literally a question which we get from every single client as well, and which we say is straight out as well. Like, not every single person, even within the company, should have access to all of the information in the company, right? If you think about salary, bonus conversations, meetings, and so on, like, you actually don't want all of your data to be shared across all the company. So what we do is essentially we ring fence the right access to the right person. So we adapt kind of like the ring fencing that you already have in place, whether it's emails, meetings, salary information, and we adapt it exactly the way it's already in your existing systems. We adapt it in the AI system as well. So like that's kind of like the internal ring fencing. And then the other part which you mentioned is kind of like, well, where does my data go? And this is kind of the other part which we can give companies a lot of comfort in, because it's not a product that lives on our servers. It's literally custom built for the company. All of that information is actually on their servers. They own it. Nobody can get access to it. And yes, you plug an AI model into it, but that then depends on your own AI subscription. So you just need essentially like the right AI subscription for the data not to be retained, for the data not to train the models. To be fair, nowadays, you can literally just switch off to train models as well. And if you have the right transcription, that information isn't even retained long term by any of the models either.
Yeah, got it. And so you guys are fans of Claude. So you all have Claude code, like 20 max plans. And how do you guys go about having your own internal brain? Because I'm also a Claude user, 20x user.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm curious, how do you set up your own kind of team company brain when you all have your own subscriptions? Like technically, how do you do that?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, the same way we've got it set up for all of our clients. So we definitely dog food all of our systems where we have, we literally the first company AI brand we've ever built was for ourselves. So every single thing that we do gets uploaded straight into the company AI brand. Funny enough, like we actually don't have it ring fenced at all because we're such a transparent company. So everybody's got access to everything within Hourglass with all of our meetings, all of our revenue, expenses, etc. Um, so, but to your question of like, we're all set up on our personal Claude accounts for sure. You have your own kind of like Claude MD files and your own personal voices. Yep, sure. But anything to do with the company essentially gets automatically uploaded into the company AI brand. You decide it's yourself what you want uploaded into there. So, for example, for us, it's all of our Slack history, all of our emails, all of our granola meetings, which automatically land in the company AI brand. And then every single time you actually build anything, the cool thing is everybody's got access to all of their client information. You want to pick up the work from somebody else, you can literally do it straight away. If any one of us goes on holidays, you've got the full context right there as well. So it makes it, yeah, it's like everybody's got all of the context across the whole company, which is kind of like the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's incredible. And so is that kind of the step-by-step process you would recommend to most companies? So like with those three layers that you talk about?
Yeah, yeah. No, I love the questions. Yeah, so that's what I literally recommend because it's actually the hard parts actually are the foundation and infrastructure. Why? Because actually building a company iBrain is actually the hard part. Like that part is really difficult to get right, in particular with the security, in particular with the right access to it, in particular with the constant ingestion. If you think about it, all of those emails, all of those files need to be constantly ingested. That brain keeps exploding in terms of context and reorganize it every single month to actually have the latest information on top and so on. That actually is the hard part, which is what we do. The infrastructure layer is again like the hard part, which is if you think about a company of 40, 50 people, everybody's thinking about their day job. Nobody's thinking about like, can I build something that like answers all of my company's emails? Like you might do it for yourself, but like nobody's actually going to do it for the whole company. And same thing of like, how do I share skills? Everybody's going to fix it on like, all right, cool, let me share this one skill, but nobody's going to think about it from a company-wide perspective. And then, to be fair, what I do recommend is like, rather than us building the really specific workflows for every single company, what we then do is come in as well, give you education, give you onboarding. And then with this company, with this skill infrastructure that you've got, actually, I recommend companies build it themselves. Because once you've got the foundation in place, then actually the agent building is really fun. And then the agents also don't keep breaking. So it's actually like the part, sure, we can do it for you, or you actually make your company AI native and we just educate you to get there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because yeah, a lot now I'll hear people say, "Oh, I'll come in and I'll build you this specific automation." Like maybe I don't know, they've got a forecast inventory out for the month and they were doing it manually, so they'll just come in and build that thing, maybe using like Make.com or N8N for one of these things. I'm sure there's still a place for those, but it seems like your view is let's just like set up the infrastructure so any agents you want in the future just add them on.
It's so much easier because, like, when you think about that tool that you just described, a forecasting tool, once you've got a company AI brain, if you've got a right access to all of the finances, you literally just jump on Claude, has their company AI brain connected, and just ask for like, hey, forecast the next few months of my business, and just like that, Claude, you can build yourself any dashboard, any graph. We don't have to build it for you. You've got all of the information already there, and sure, we can charge you another 5 or 10 or 20 grand to build it. But the beauty is like once you've got the foundation, you totally should actually build it yourself.
Yeah, amazing. And so I guess we started this episode talking about how companies could like rebuild themselves by design. We've got those steps. Is there anything else that people should be thinking about, businesses should be thinking about as they're kind of readjusting their business for the AI world?
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I mean, maybe the part of just to really hammer the point home of just like one of my favorite quotes about strategy is building strength along the way. And the way I really think about it is like building a strategy of like brick by brick, and you're laying the foundation and you stack something else on top. But if the foundation is weak, then everything else topples over. So that's maybe like the one part, but I'll leave the one to side because we've talked about that a lot now. The other part of being AI native or transforming it is maybe another one, which is like products versus services, or like customization, which is maybe my contrarian view, but there's so many AI products out there right now. Like you jump onto Twitter, you jump on LinkedIn, there's like so many companies doing it, so many consultants doing it for you as well. And it's always that like really isolated solution with a product. Like, and what's the point of buying a product if nobody's gonna then use it as well? So education and onboarding and change management is actually so important. But then also like the other part, which is like if you're gonna transform your whole business into making it AI native, I'll give you another quote here maybe, which is nobody wants a half price heart surgery. If you're gonna do heart surgery, you actually kind of want to pay full price to actually get it done properly. So you don't want to be cutting corners into really cheap products just to like do a little bit here and a little bit there. You actually want the whole company to now go AI native. Which then brings me maybe to my final point of, in order to do AI transformations really well, one is get somebody in like us to build the foundation. But two, and that's really important, is you need that change management and education element of it as well. Because again, like if somebody, whether it's a product or a service like us, comes in and does a bunch of things and nobody can use it, well, what's the point of that? So like actually, this is often the harder thing to do. And the way to do it well is identifying the bunch of champions who love it, because there's always a bunch of champions who love using it in the company, and just like showcasing what they're doing, letting them own it, letting them drive it, and then pulling the entire team up with them.
Mm. Yeah, great answer. A lot of people who see your website, see what you offer, they'll think, okay, this looks great. Maybe it sounds a bit too good to be true. Like, is that really possible? Or like, are they going to charge me $100,000? What would you say to someone with that kind of objection?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, honestly, we actually do probably get that pushback quite a bit. So yeah, pricing is it good to be true? Like I'll actually start with pricing. Pricing wise, we're super transparent. So essentially, we do three things: we audit the team, we build, and we maintain. So we audit your team because we need all of the context. So usually we come into an organization and we interview 3 to 10 people. We charge $1,000 per person, so it's essentially anything between $3,000 to $10,000. It's a really easy entry point because what you get off the back of it is a full summary of this is what your team is thinking, those are problems they're having, this is where they're wasting their time, this is how much more revenue you could have if you had X and Y and Z. It also gives you a full AI roadmap that most CEOs can take to the board, being like, because the board is pressuring them on AI, which is so often the case for many of our clients. So like that's a really easy, cheap starting point. Then in terms of the second stage, which is building, essentially anything that we build is between $5,000 to $20,000. So to just give you a bit of an idea. The foundational builds like company brain, that is essentially anything between 10 to 20K, kind of depending on the company's size. And then anything that is kind of quite common across businesses, like following up invoices or forecasts or creating budgets or whatnot, that is essentially like a 5 to 10K integration. Anything that's highly specific for your company is about like 15 to 20K. Why? Because highly specific on your company, you actually should do it yourself anyway. And it will take us so much time to essentially get into your head to figure it all out, that's why the price is essentially quite a bit higher. And then the third part is the maintenance part, where we essentially don't just give you something and then you're never going to see us again and good luck. We essentially stay there with you and keep, number one, making sure that it always works. And number two is we keep improving it. So for example, with this company AI Brain, there's so much more ingestion of data necessary, plus optimization over time. So you always find the right information at the fastest way. And that kind of like maintenance is anything between like, depending on how many systems we've built here, but between $500 to a couple of $1,000s per month, really depending on like the depth of transformation. The other question you had is like, this sounds too good to be true, which is also, and honestly, like, this is totally a pushback that we do get. Not even a pushback, but people ask us of like, oh, how would you do it? For example, is actually the question. And the answer is, based on all of the context that you've given us with AI, we can pretty much do anything these days. And context is the most important thing. So it's like number one, all of the audits and the conversations that we're having with the teams. And two is us actually ingesting this company AI brain. That is crazy context. We literally have every single piece of information about your company ever, including any templates, including the last 20 times you've done exactly that action. So based on all of that context, honestly, it's going to be just as good as anything that you've previously done. Of course, if you want a new workflow and something that hasn't existed before, then we need that kind of verbal context. But with AI, you can pretty much build anything. And so it's really just a question of context.
Yeah, such a good answer. I'm really curious because you're a very good entrepreneur, love strategy. This brain will give your clients incredible data to work with. And if they can analyze and use that data properly, they're going to be able to make better business decisions and probably make a lot more money. Do you ever kind of tack on that as a service? Like, let me help you actually take this data and dig it for gold?
Yeah, interesting. No, we've actually never done that, but it's actually a really interesting value proposition. I love that. I mean, we're internally doing that for Hourglass already, but I've never actually gone quite as far as saying like, I'm going to help you out with strategy here, because I feel like that's a whole other kind of consulting offering, which we might go down at some stage, but we haven't done yet. Just to give you maybe the really practical example how we do it at Hourglass. Every single week, we've got our team meeting and we ask ourselves, what did we learn in the last 7 days? And we just like literally go through like clients, engagements, Slack channel, and so on. And then every single month, I write a monthly update, and this monthly update writes itself, because I literally prompt Claude, being like, hey, go through all my meetings, go through all my Slack messages, like what are the lessons that we learned, what are the good, bad, and uglies, and so on. And it literally writes itself. So it's like, from a strategy perspective, all of that information is fed into our literal strategy project, which we then review once a month. But like, hey, based on our strategy, challenge me. What am I getting wrong? And what should we be doing differently as well? Or what are we actually getting right? So like all of that, every single meeting, every single Slack message is literally just context to keep refining the strategy. So the only thing you require though as a business is kind of that muscle to keep asking the right question on a periodic basis. So maybe that's actually back to your question, or like, should we be offering that? That's an interesting one. It's almost like accountability to just keep asking yourself, like, is my strategy still the right strategy? What data points am I seeing that prove it or disprove it?
Yeah.
I like it. Maybe we totally should offer it. Yeah.
It sounds really valuable. I mean, if you have the data,
No, it's actually a really interesting point there. So it was like the next value add. To be fair, like the way we approach transformation here is phases, right? Because phase one is kind of like get the foundation in place. Phase two is like get the team onboarded and kind of like comfortable with it all. Phase three is everybody else builds themselves agents on top of it and so on. So phase four is probably like, all right, let's take this all together into like company level kind of strategy and insights and keep feeding in back again. Yeah.
I was interviewing someone a couple days ago. They built a very similar thing. They didn't call it an AI brain. They called it like a live, basically like a live intelligence report that constantly ingested data, updated, like where they could potentially lose clients, customers that could churn, like trying to forecast those things. Also listening to their competitors and their market to show like where they're sitting and all these things. And they reckon that it was delivering $2 million. I think it was a week in net benefits because they could action on all those things.
Yeah, no, it's for sure interesting. Yeah, isn't like that's the beauty of like this company AI brain. Once you've got that much context, and this is back to your question of just like, is this too good to be true? Well, no, with that much context, you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah. Is there anything that I should have asked you but haven't asked you yet?
I mean, maybe I can tell you a little bit more about the types of clients we work with. We work with really traditional businesses, because the best kind of clients are actually the ones which can't implement it for themselves because they, number one, are either well, to be fair, like usually they don't essentially have an engineering team, so they can't don't know where to start with AI, or just want somebody external to almost like build it and then worry about it as well. So our ideal kind of like clients essentially are traditional businesses. The kind of clients that we're working with right now are in property, venture capital, real estate, recruiters, actually a meat processing business. So like you can actually tell that it's like really traditional businesses, not too large either, like usually like 10 to 100 people. More than 100 people, it just becomes a massive IT transformation project, which is what you and I talked about with data cleanups and so on. And the behavior change at 100 plus becomes a whole other beast as well. But essentially like companies right now, which are like between 10 to 100, can just like pivot and change so quickly, which is beautiful. So it's like, it's a massive competitive advantage to be in that space, be the first company in that industry as well to become AI native. And those companies are going to go flying over the next few years and take like overtake all of the competition.
Yeah, 100%. Last question. Is there anyone in Australia who's doing amazing work in AI, but not many people are talking about them, or not enough people are talking about them?
Um, yeah, good question. I mean, um, in Australia, I actually the first kind of people who actually come to mind, which are some of the people we're tracking really closely, is for example Dan Schipper from Every and Alex Lieberman from 10x. They're two incredible businesses, AI native as well in the US. Um, and to be fair, another kind of like role model is actually one company which is literally in the news as of yesterday, which is Bending Spoons, which just acquired Airtable. The reason for that is Dan Schipper and Alex Lieberman, they're building AI native kind of like consultancies as well. And they're doing it from like a media first perspective, which is really interesting because like, as we just said, AI building is actually the easy part, but actually getting customers and trust is so hard. So they're actually doing it from a media side of things. And then Bending Spoons is such an interesting case study of right now the latest trend is PE funds raising funds and buying lots of companies to making them AI native. And Bending Spoons is like the ultimate kind of like PE fund, which does that across SaaS companies, rolling them up and making them hyper efficient. So that's just something that we're talking about a lot internally because AI is such a massive trend in both those areas, whether it's media or essentially acquisitions and making companies AI native.
Amazing. Batko, thank you so much. I know we're at the end of the time limit. It's been an absolute pleasure. Very, very grateful that I've had the chance to talk to you. And you dropped so many golden nuggets in there. Really appreciate it. I wish you the absolute best with Hourglass and all the other work that you're doing. Yeah, is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience before we finish up?
No, thank you so much. Great questions. Enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. And anyone still listening, thank you for joining us on the journey. Catch you later. Bye.
See ya.